Okay, so here's another step that is pretty recognizable across people that have studied house stance movement. It's a step called the train. It actually goes really well with the step that we learned in the Greenbelt module, the skate. Today we're just going to focus on the train. This step, I'm going to show you how you can really drill the technique in before I actually show you the step, because it's the timing that can be tricky. There's a little bit of a jumping component to it that when you do it correctly, it literally looks like you're a choo-choo train, like you're chugging along. So be careful with this one. You have to move your feet pretty fast, but I'm going to show you how we can break it down. All right, let's learn the train.
Everybody wants to be loved. It's like no one wants to go to sleep at night feeling no one. Do you love me? Like I love you. Do you want me? Like I want you.
So to start, we're going to establish a nice healthy hop in a staggered stance. I'm just shuffling one leg by the other, switching each time I jump. I'm going to have my weight a little bit back over my hips. This is eventually going to help us jack. So if I was to slow it down, feels like when I land, I'm going down into the floor. And then when I start to use my jack, I use my hips to rock forward and push my body up into the jump. I don't want to land flat on my feet, I want to land on my toes and slowly roll down. That roll down is what's going to help build a jack behind this move. You can see my body moving over my feet. If I use my arms, this helps add momentum to the step. Think of this as a basic way to start your train. I can move my hips side to side too, but it's not necessary. Just showing you the flexibility I have in my hips if I want to expand this movement. When I start to speed up eventually, I try to maintain this bounce. It gets a little bit smaller, but it's still there. I'm staying on the balls of my feet to help myself switch fast. I keep the bounce in my body so that the train has the jack movement behind it. Now, the second part of the train is adding a double tap technique. I'm using the ball of my foot to strike into the floor, not the sole of my foot. The ball of the foot strikes downward from the hip. So I had to use my hip flexor to lift my knee and drive the toe down into the floor. When I do it fast, I'm going to do 8 times. Other side. And for now, on the 8th tap, I bring it back under me to switch sides. This is a close-up. I'm just trying to strike the floor as quickly as I can. The timing is going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now I'm going to do 8 times and then switch. That switch is a jump, and then I land on the ball of the foot. If I double tap, now I'm ready to strike on the other side 8 times, like this. Every 8 I'm going to jump. This is going to develop the conditioning in your leg that you need to keep the train in rhythm. Your leg's going to get really tired after doing this. Now I'm switching to 4. And remember, you're using your hip to move your knee up and down, striking the ball of the foot into the floor. When it's faster, it obviously gets smaller, but I still want to use my hip. You can see it really clearly here. And it gets smaller here, but you can still see I'm trying to use my hip. This is going to put more power into your movement. If I try on the other side, same deal. If you feel like your movement's ever getting smaller, just slow it down so that you can find the range of motion that you're looking for again. Now I'm switching back and forth 4 times now. And then I go to 2 times. This might look like a move you've learned. Remember the swirl? Same basic technique. Only this time I'm striking forward and back versus swirling my hips side to side. When I put the jack over it and the jump, I eventually get the train. So now let's try to add the jump component. I'm going to start by striking 8 times and switching. Then I'm going to go to 4 times, jumping. Now I'm going to go to 2 times. This is the movement that we're building up to. Now we go fast, 4 times, and then 2. That's the train right there. So now we're going to get that jack back. I'm sitting back in my hips so that I can rock up, adding the double tap. I use my arms to create momentum, and I'm starting to move around now, but you don't need to. I'm going to show you how I'm moving with the train to fill space. I can move backwards, forwards, sideways. I can even add the skate. The skate and the train are 2 moves that go very well together. So you see how we progressed from going slowly to moving quickly, keeping a bounce, and then adding that double tap as we switch our legs. I'm pretty much up on the balls of my foot the whole time. My heels rarely touch the floor. When I start to jack, the movement adds a lot more energy. Remember, don't be stiff with the upper body. Try to use your arms a little bit to keep that bounce. But ultimately, you want to make it your own. And that's the train.